yet? Do I have permission?
I'll record.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my friend, you're the interviewer.
Ain't that a pisser?
Yeah, you're the interviewer. I'm not smart enough to interview
Now
you.
stop that talk. You were in this before I was. You were a guy who I met at Red Sky, and my piece went over so-so, but you're like, yeah, I like that. I like that. You gave me a hand. So anytime you need a hand, I'm there. I remember you dressed up in a fucking tuxedo
Oh
to
yeah.
to run the late night poetry reading at the Cascadia Poetry Fest in Tacoma, and I was like, this motherfucker is serious about this shit. So, I'm here to help.
I got to tell you about that piece of clothing. That was left over from the early Writers Guild days when we used to have shows at the Crocodile and at that crazy clown place, the Ditto, with the typewriters on the table. And there was a long, blonde-haired, beautiful man. I forget his name, but he was my tailor, and he loved making me these far-out clothes out of these shit I would get out of the thrift store, some orange tails or whatever. He'd be like, I'll fix it up. Anyway, so as I've aged, I've gained some birth. And really, I can't fit into that bloody thing anymore, and I've got no occasion to use it. I'm not an MC, I'm more of a player. So I took it after many, many months of it hiding away in my closet to the thrift store, to Goodwill. And there was a young man there, came out of the back and said, oh my God, this is great, boy, you're a rock star or what? Something like that, kind of. He's like, I'm gonna go on eBay and we'll get mass funds for this. And I felt so good. It's gonna, maybe help the poor and feed their house somebody, that crazy piece of clothing. So anyway, there you have it. Now you've interviewed me. I'm ready to interview you.
Okay, fair enough.
And this is the way our blog is going to go in the future. Do you remember Kathleen Bird?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, she's an English teacher, and she's become a great friend, and she's an absolute knockout, Dutch and smart as a whip. And she mentioned knowing you. And she's going to be on the show, and she wants to do like a back and forth kind of a Sesame Street thing. And I said, well, that'd be far out, so maybe we could do something like that.
I'm up for that.
Yeah, not so, so I got a couple of pieces I just wrote. So if you want to do that, we could share the limelight. And we usually don't focus on one artist all the way through, and half our people get bored, how we are. So tell me, what are you doing now? How's Cascadia? I mean, I'll definitely do your bio. I've got it all here, bro.
Cascadia Poetry Fest is, of course, everybody ran into the lockdown, the pandemic, and didn't want to do anything. And, we had it scheduled, and then we had to unschedule it, and we reschedule it, and then that fell through. And now we're just going to wait until we put out an anthology called Cascadian Zen. And then, if we have the funds, we'll do a, all out fest. And if not, we'll do smaller launch events that'll be in the spirit of the Cascadia Poetry Fest, but we'll be focused on the people and the content of the book, which is shaping up to be a real important book. And I've taken more time with this project than any other anthology that I've worked on, and I think I've got 5 under my belt now. So,
wow,
it's going to be pretty. It's going to be pretty momentous, I think.
And it's getting harder and harder to sell books. Where are you going to market it? How are you going to get it around?
Well, I mean, I don't really focus on the marketing of it. I put out the book. We expect that it will be published by a real publisher, and that's their job, is to sell the books. And we're going to give them a beautiful book with a beautiful cover and a beautiful design. And we hope that, you never know. The whole fucking thing in this country is like winning the goddamn lotto. Is it going to go viral? You see some of the shit that goes viral of fucking cats flushing toilets or whatever, and then you think, and then every now and then some book catches on, and then all of a sudden everybody knows who you are and then looks at all the other shit you've done, and maybe that happens. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I do know that I feel called, I feel, and working with Jason Worth, who is a professor of philosophy at Seattle U, and he came up with a panel idea for Cascadian Zen in 2019, and then we just kept following it up as a book idea, and he loves it, and he's going to spend all this summer reading it carefully, reading all the submissions, and we're also working with Teresa Whitehill, who lives in Ukiah, California, just outside of Cascadia proper, and she's designing it in a gorgeous way. There are going to be maps, there's going to be prose, there's going to be poetry, there's going to be at least one interview, there's going to be at least one translation. So when we hand it to the publisher.
Are you open to submissions, or what's going on? What can I tell my listeners? What's happening?
Submissions until June 1st. So depending on when you get
where will they send those?
They can send them to me, splabman@icloud.com. Splabman@icloud.com.
I like individual or like I?
Yeah, iCloud, like the Mac.
Like iCloud.
Yeah.
No dash or nothing. I don't use that cloud. I'm afraid of it.
Well, I really like the whole seamless approach to having an iPhone, having a Mac, being able to send text from my computer, and having the storage go right from my Mac to the cloud. So I can read any poem I've ever written. I can have access to it wherever I go because I have a phone. It's amazing.
God bless you. I'm just weird about it. They'll say you haven't saved it. Do you want to upload it? I'm like, no, I don't know where it goes. Forget it. Right? Anyways, I'm glad some people are getting behind it. I want to see Apple, be successful. Well, that sounds exciting, Broham, and it seems to me like, we're all in the business of trying to network we poets together, so that's what I'm doing, and I just talked to like Julian Weaver, and we've had Maged Zaire and Wesley Smith, and Chris from Spread is doing a thing, and I'm gonna be pursuing a magazine next year. I'm setting up a non-profit organization right now that's multi-genre, so it's mystery and sci-fi and poetry and hard-hitting essays. So I've got a board together, and I'm with Zoom, so it takes time, and I'm bipolar, so I freak out about shit, but it's going to be okay. Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. I wish you much luck. What's it going to be called? Do you have a name?
We're going to call it The Ticket. As I ran the paper on Vashon for several years called The Ticket, and they reached out to me earlier this year, and the History Museum there wants to digitalize the whole run because it's historically important to people and situations that have changed and were featured, or what have you. So that's really a feather in my cap that will help me in ways I don't even know. And I'm doing some technical writing, some grant writing, and that will be hugely instrumental because I'm poor right now, terribly poor, coming off of a alcoholism, bipolar, and all this weird shit. I kind of lost my house. My wife screwed me. So that's my way back up. I won't be on the board. I'll be the executive director, and I'll be the publisher, and I'll draw a paycheck.
Yeah.
So,
are you still in Port Orchard?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it hasn't been all bad. I've been writing quite a bit, and I'm in a master's program at SNHU.
Southern New Hampshire University? Are you studying with Nadine Maestas?
I haven't come across Nadine yet, but the teachers change. I'm sure I will run into her.
She teaches poetry there, and she's got a new book out with Chris Hall's press.
Nadine, what's her last name?
Maestas, Maestas. Nadine Antoinette Maestas from New Mexico. She's a
Oh,
dynamo.
nice. Yeah, I'm not in. Well, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. They've got to entertain us for a year yet. So I just kind of roll with the punches. This week has been real easy. They're doing stuff I'm familiar with, so I don't have to sweat it. I almost got kicked out when they did grammar because I don't know, I don't understand it.
Neither do I.
Right on. Well, dude, you are brilliant, man. We are really lucky to have you. You've been a mover and a shaker in this town for as long as I can remember. And by this town, I mean this region. Jesus, if you read your bio, you're internationally renowned. It's kind of extraordinary what you've managed to do, and you're obviously good with people, and you have an understanding of language that is more it's heavier than mine. I kind of go on intuition. You're real skillful. Anyway, man, I appreciate you. And would you like to read me a few poems?
Sure, I'm very
I
grateful
can't
for
make that disc work. I love that disc, but I can't make it work to save my life. So
Yeah. Well, thanks for all the kind things you said. That's very sweet. I have tremendous respect for you. Like I say, going back to Red Sky and being in the vineyard for as long as you have. Um, the book, this got launched during the pandemic, the second edition of A Time Before Slaughter, including Pig War and other songs of Cascadia. And so, rather than just putting out another book, this really extends the serial poem that reenacts the history of this bioregion, some of the historical events of this bioregion, Cascadia, which you may or may not know, goes from Cape Mendocino, California, all the way up to Mount Logan, Alaska, and inland, basically to the Continental Divide. So it includes Eureka and Arcata and all the way up to Yakutat, and includes the side of Montana that's west of from the Continental Divide onto the west, most of British Columbia, all of Washington, much of Oregon, almost all of Idaho, a little tiny sliver of Nevada. And when I started writing this, A Time Before Slaughter, about the history of Auburn, I was just beginning to understand these longer forms like William Carlos Williams Patterson, or Charles Olson's The Maximus poems, or Diane de Prima's Loba. And then I started understanding more about serial form, seriality, like Robert Duncan wove through his work, or Robin Blazer, or Jack Spicer.
What does that mean, seriality? Like not serial novels, but something else?
Well, you pick one topic and you come at it from a bunch of different angles, and you keep writing it. And Monet did, like, the haystacks, I don't know, 20, 30 paintings of haystacks, or the Rouen Cathedral he painted 33 times, I think. So, I mean, most people would say, why the fuck do you want to paint the same building? You did that. But, the color changes, the light quality changes, and it's a different building every time you look at it, which is a real Buddhist kind of thing that I relate to. Each moment is different, So, so I started, going into the history, like Olson did with the Maximus poems, and then, things, when one door closes, another one opens, and you do one thing, and that opens other things up for you. So, I'll read. What I'd like to do is read the last poem from the first series, and then maybe a poem from the second part of the book, and then we can take it from there. How's that sound?
That sounds great, my friend. I have all of these publications, but to hear you read them helps me better understand them.
All right, so the last 10 poems in the book, A Time Before Slaughter, were called Elegies for Slaughter. And what I did was I call it a cover poem. You take a poem like Rilke, his Duino Elegies, and George Bowring Kerrisdale Elegies, and you start and you kind of rewrite their poems, but with your own images and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's fun.
So it's like a cover poem. It's like, covering Saturday in the Park by Chicago and changing the words from Chicago to Auburn or whatever. So this is number 10, and it ended up being the last poem in the book. Number 10, elegies for slaughter. After summer rain, angels would trample the wet grounds outside the carnival of glands, and yet dead poets always get the last word. Perhaps time sweetens with each deeply felt elegy. We see their picture as if they'd live forever the day before the Times writes their obit. It is the rare July angled rain can eat northwest faces, shudder what's left of the white blossoms who refuse to complain about their well-timed descent. Unlike slaughter, the trees, the Nootka rose, wild ginger, sitka, columbine, dogwood, Indian paintbrush, the fireweed remain neutral, hold, like Tahoma does, the resonance of every step and waits patient for us to honor our greed. Inside, in silence, except for Friday night car tires humming on wet road, below the sound waves of Earth cutting through space, underneath the dimmest constellation and the sound of the lonely night's last freight train horn, dead poets pose as angels, send metaphors for your verse, remind you the whole world's alive inside that green wheel spinning in your chest, making a mandala of spent matches from lit prayer candles and pink rose blossoms offered to the lady. You are only a reflection of the skill your parents had in the lightning flash that became you and for which you yearn to return, endlessly checking the weather forecast while the stuck river rolls beyond the spot of diversion. You get a hernia as your marriage falls apart or your nose bleeds for recognition, but the grace saving you's the extraordinary patience of dead poets. Dead poets in the garden scaring raccoons. Dead poets animating the cat's eyes for a moment, moving molecules to drop white blossoms for your amusement. Dead poets caught in your throat in the fetal position, like latent antepasados turning the last blood fire burn into your richest, deepest song. Sunlight's headed south now, faster than the cat can comprehend, makes the tips of stuck waves more white, animates coyote's smile, lubricates the stunts of stellar jays, keeps light shining on slaughter, not waiting for better weather. And a poet you knew will become that light or that latent angel or that force moving molecules to amuse your evening walk faster than your aging synapses can flash across their gap. He who could live beyond the last parenthesis, she who could hold fire in her hand, he who makes better weather for those who honor their ancestral land, she who marks the northwest July sun's closing arson orange and apricot rays in skin, blood fire, and melted wax. She who taps the never-ending flow can withstand every parlor trick slaughter could ever conjure, with a rare commitment to every blossoming every species has ever known.
Wow.
I was thinking of Marion Kimes as one of those dead poets helping us out from that side.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I speak from her from time to time. I mean, the first day that I ever read poetry, she was in a little black and yellow bee suit with her little boy haircut and running around singing. And Robert Valenza told me, man, you can't say that. You might hurt someone's feelings. Much more languid than that. But I said, dude, it's not about fat people. It's about greed. Glad to stir it up, even my first night out. But then, Red Sky, yeah, they were the shit, man. Robin Schultz and all those old timers kept things going for how long? Wow.
25 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ain't that something?
Yeah, I can dig it. That led me strangely to start a prose reading. I didn't want to compete, but I got a bug for showing off.
Well, you have
and facilitating. I'm teasing. I like to bring others out. I mean, I can't overemphasize. That's a nice part of me.
Yeah, no. You have to take credit. You have to take credit for your ability to bring people together and do it in a good way.
Yeah.
I was writing a lot of high ones.
That was brilliant, man. So tell me about this next piece, bro.
This piece is in the second edition of the Slaughter book, and it's a haibun. And haibun are these hybrid forms that Basho created. The hai in haibun refers to the haiku, and there's a haiku-like moment in all of these haibun that I wrote. And the bun is sort of dense prose poetry, and they're juxtaposed. And this has 4 paragraphs and then ends with a haiku-like moment. All these, and I wrote a whole book of them. It's not been published yet, called Haibun de la Serna. So I took a Japanese form and started with an epigraph by a Spanish and Argentine poet named Ramon Gomez de la Serna, and he wrote all these short poems he called greguerillas, which are, he said, humor plus metaphor equals greguerilla, and so they're aphorisms. Like one which I'm sure you'll love was, nothing forgets us as quickly as a bar stool.
Oh, beautiful,
Right?
beautiful, beautiful.
So he's got books of these sentences, and someone said, your American sentences remind me of Ramon Gomez de la Serna. I'm like, who's that? And he told me he was a contemporary of Salvador Dali. They did a book together. After Ramon Gomez de la Serna died, Dali, who had promised him during his life, he'd put the book out. He put the book out, and it's beautiful.
Oh,
I have a
far
copy of it.
out, man.
Yeah, really
Far
cool.
out, yeah.
So this is not so much history as it's my history, and sort of current events at the time. This was written in 2013 at Louise's Cafe. Remember Jack Remick? He's still around, right? Do you remember Jack? Yeah. Well, he had this thing going at
Speaking
Louise's.
of that, have you seen Thomas Hubbard? I'm trying to get a hold of him.
I have not.
No?
No.
All right. Anyway, sorry
He
to.
blows through town every now and then. This is called 86 Polonia Tomentosa. And the epigraph is, his good day was always overcast. And yes, he was from Seattle. And yes, the sun was shining that particular Friday in the season of lilac blossoms and a full bloom empress tree, princess tree, Polonia tomentosa, stolen from central and western China, but an invader here, loving the lack of competition for what sun there is, shaping purple hanging bell blossoms and leaves in whirls of 3. We sit under it, take photos, are there if we think about it, Lakewood Park. And by good day, he meant in Seattle nice courtesy and not much else. We'll wait for your street crossing, will not honk. A city of the mind, a city of geeks. People here totally blow you off, the newcomer would say in the Times, but not at the stop sign beyond the Empress Tree, not at the 4-way stop where you go. No, you go. No, you go. No, you go. No, you go. And the guy from Chicago goes, knowing your MO. Knowing driving the car is personality enshrined. And overhead's a helicopter shopping for dark-skinned shooting suspects. And here the anti-capitalism Mayday riots, only 3 businesses with busted windows. And here a view of deep Elliott Bay Azul under snow-capped Olympics seeking a hearing. Good day, always overcast, always an undertone. Somewhere the intimacy's obscured. Some know the names of dogs at the dog park, but not the ones the other side of the leash. Not the neighbor's name or wife, but their latte order or Wi-Fi signal and how much in their compost bin. Is it the weather? Topography? It is a social script that leads to alienation, but Emmett Watson didn't want you here anyway. And we can't make a left on Denny at 1:40 in the afternoon, and bike riders forego single file just to hack at you and your humongous carbon footprint. In Slaughter, I once saw a yard sign that simply said, vote no. Can whip it out for any election. Vote no. Democracy easy as yard signs and being against. Just put a line through it. Easy as stopping for one pedestrian or take a pill or cut it out, or the bombing starts in 5 minutes, or the settler prehension a century after the perimeter has been secured. And yes, the sun shines that particular Friday, the season of late magnolia blossoms, of English heather, or Scotch broom petals sticking their heads out of leaves this side the highway, season of lilac blossoms, and the full bloom empress tree, princess tree, Polonia tomentosa, stolen from western China, but just an invader here, like you and me.
Farm cow. That is beautiful. I remember those trees. I sobered up for 2 years and went to gardening school up on, I don't know, the hill there somewhere, South Seattle. And I used to know the Latin names of all the plants. But I'm the guy who knows the dog's name and not the people. Much nicer.
Michael Pilarski is a permaculturist, and he was taking us on a wildcrafting tour of Seward Park, and we were tasting little tiny bits of things. And he said the two questions you always have to ask about plants is, number one, can you smoke it? And two, should you cook it with bacon? And those are the two basic questions of permaculture.
Right on. I love people who know, what to eat. I am not one. My friend, I'm going to read this. I've been having like a great time, right? And then yesterday I just woke up in hell. Just everything went wrong. And I am much more moody. I'm bipolar, so I'm not moody. I'm a pretty fucking constant guy. But occasionally, man, I just don't see why we bother doing any fucking thing. So I try and temper that to make it not so bloody diabolical and also just negative and fucked up for other people. That's only my point of view. I realize that is not shared by everybody. So I want to share what it's like without beating you over the head. So I come up with this here in the last couple of days: bipolar day at the beach. Who the hell would want to need me? I am a horrible insult to a monkey, a dirty, filthy human being. And today, all the modernity, that man, jewels, and tattoos, all the clothing sewed together with stolen buttons and promises, broken rocket parts fished from the ocean, me naked and without a single boner pill they're constantly texting me about because I once must have looked up strap-ons or rubber extenders to enhance my aging gender. What more a man if not his penis? This is the question for the ages, for the aged, and for one who should turn the page on already. But I wasn't quite over it. The waiting, the hesitation to embrace me in total, body and soul, both, though I feared, were too battered to matter really to anyone. Doubted my ability to be faithful, doubted my ability to make money, doubted my ability to love. So I strapped styrofoam to the inside of my legs. With abandoned bungee cords to my feet, to my arms, I bound broken buoys. To the outside of my legs, the flat of an ice chest, tied on my back with frayed yellow nylon string, abandoned fishing nets, tied round and knotted in the front. I jumped into the sound from the cement particle rockery where the seagulls gather and chattered their yellow beaks, speaking the only truth that really matters. Yap, 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 quack, quack. I lay on my back and did a lap. Looking up into the wishbone sky, I felt floaty, light even, bringing with it the insolent sun smiling all the time. What's so goddamn funny? But I could not resent her, not now that I myself was the raft that the pigeons landed on, counted on me stable enough to spread their yellow feet. With splat and poop, they pooped their paint job. I ruddered my head left and headed for the beach. Turned out not bad.
You are such the grunge poet. I mean, it's like, if any of those grunge motherfuckers survived, you are like their poet laureate. I mean, that's fantastic. I love that. The Insolent Sun. That's beautiful. You know Jack Micheline's work at all? Did you know Jack Micheline?
No.
He was a street poet. Michael McClure wrote a poem about him in his last book, Mule Kick Blues. And you remind me of that kind of poetry energy, street poet. Yeah, very much so. And I still
don't know.
I still see you as a grunge guy.
I'm not a form guy. I wouldn't know a form if it hit me in the face. But I like, stringing words together. For sure.
So done, and with surprised mind that not everybody gets in their work.
Yeah, and actually, in writing that piece, made me feel better because I was like, how can I not be so, you know? And I tried to tweak it here, and I dumped a bunch of the first whiny shit and turned it into actual something. Um, what's our timestamp like? Do you know? Do you have a
We're halfway
timestamp?
through. We're halfway through.
What are we at, like 15, 16?
We're at 29 minutes, I think.
Oh, fuck. We usually only do a 30-minute program, but that's cool. We'll
Well,
do.
I mean, if you want to wrap at that point,
No, this is a special. We can go as long as we want.
all
There's
right.
no time restraint. That's just been I still have to add music, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm going to give you this drowning in meat. I'm drowning in meat, blood stained and beat, not a stick of broccoli to eat, a box of styrofoam barbecued chicken from last night's restaurant shift. Here, take this meat. It's free. The feet were removed yesterday, and the heads and hooves and beaks were ground down and powderized, and sprinkles for the dog and cat and sheep. I'm drowning in meat. My arteries squeak. There's pork chops, $1.99, shoulders and backs. What a deal. Pork chops on the Fermina counter, thawing out. Pork chops and Vandy Camp's pork and beans. I've eaten an E.B. White barnyard full of cloven hooved, curly tailed pigs packed in styrofoam, marbled pickup sticks. Makes me sick, sick, sick.
Oh.
My girlfriend won't allow me to cry about it, to let loose electrolytes and salty water for the violence I have chewed in my aging teeth, which are anything if not complicit. Guilty of animal abuse, we have all tuned out. But without question, once animal husbandry, now the factory farm is inhumane, profane, and disgusting. As the population swells, as the planet warms up, all the gaseous methane which comes with millions of cattle that displace the wild buffalo and practically everything else, I can cry alone now in my room, choking down haggis on a stick, a Canadian import, a brain and organ treat, favored by my bloodthirsty Scottish clan. I gotta do something about the way I eat, brother. Tell me the truth. Oh my goodness.
Shit, I'm crying.
Right
I'm
on.
crying. Oh my God, that's wonderful. That's fucking wonderful.
Yeah, well, it ain't, but it is, you know. Thank you. And I guess that's maybe make you think about the next time you pick up a chicken wing.
Well, you know, my partner doesn't eat meat. She's a pescatarian, so
Pescatarian, what does that mean?
only fish,
Oh,
no chicken, no turkey, no pig, no cow, no this, no that. And you know, she doesn't say you can't have any in the house or whatever. So every now and then, my ex-wife came over for Mother's Day pancakes, and her mom and dad were supposed to come over, but they had a dog emergency, so didn't make it. But she said her dad really likes sausage, so I got some turkey sausage, and you know, we cooked that, and then I had some left over, so I ate some the next day. But so I've been eating a lot more, a lot less. Well, a lot less haggis on a stick, that's for sure. I've really cut that out of my diet.
You have a daughter, don't you?
2 daughters. One turned 30 yesterday, lives in Chicago as a freelance journalist, and one is 9. And I have to go get her at 3:15, and I got to pick up her bike on the way. She just got a new bike, and when I surprised my partner Bhakti on her birthday Tuesday with a week ago with a helicopter ride
Wow.
over our house.
Get out.
My 9-year-old daughter's like, "Oh, I want to go." I'm like, you know, well, we'll save up for it. You know, it's not cheap.
Wow.
So yeah, she's
Wow.
9, and she's in 3rd grade, just about to finish 3rd grade, and she's a very happy kid.
Good, good. And it sounds like the big daughter's doing super. Where's she at?
She lives in Chicago. She's married. She's she's married to a journalist. She does freelance. He writes for SI, sportsillustrated.com.
Oh, right on.
And
So
they
they're
both
well adjusted, engaged.
they're married. They've been married for about a year and a half. And they moved from Brooklyn during the pandemic. They just couldn't take New York anymore. They just couldn't take it.
Uh-huh.
So they moved to
Uh-huh.
Chicago, where I grew up, and my mom still lives, and my sisters and brothers. So she got a little bit of a support network there anyway. And of course, she went to school. They both went to school at Northwestern. So
Okay. Good, man. Well, you look great. It's nice to see you. I'm going to need that audio that you've got. We only do audio. You can have the video rights. They're your machine after all. But I don't know how you can, usually it won't allow you to email a big ass half an hour long file.
Right. So what I'll do is I'll put the folder onto Google Drive, and I'll click on the share, and you'll get an email notification saying you can download it from here.
Okay, great. Well, long may you live, and fuck this pandemic. And good luck. I really like the sound of this new project, the Japanese Spaniard ripoff deal. That sounds good to me.
Oh my God, you have to write a blurb for that. Ripoff deal.
All right.
I have to write that down. Oh shit, that's funny. All right, Hamish, thanks for checking in, man. I appreciate it. You look good too. Stay out of trouble.
Okay, buddy, take care.
Tell Fuster I said hi.
Yes, will do. Bye-bye now.